So it's actually putting that into some type of accessible format where other people can almost read your thoughts and understand how would you act in this situation.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Practice Makes Profit podcast. I'm Emma Ridgey, the director here at My Professional Net, and today I'm joined by Eden Houghtaling. Eden, thanks for joining me.
Thank you. It's such an honor to be here.
Before we kick off this episode, do you want to take a second to introduce yourself to our subscribers and let them know a little bit about you?
Sure, absolutely. So I am a business advisor and accountant. Our company is Pinpoint Business Solutions, and we focus on offering accounting services with the goal of not just doing compliance for tax preparation, but really empowering the owners that we work with to make good decisions based on the data that we have and based on our experience. So that's kind of what our passion is to bring peace of mind to business owners by really helping them to know what's going on from the work that we do.
So our subscribers here pretty much in those small professional service firms. And I know today we're going to be talking a little bit about business development. And a big part of that is hiring and making sure that you have a good team on your side. So I was wondering if you can talk a little bit about hiring specifically within those small firms, if they are, a small firm owner.
Sure, yes. So, if you are a growing small professional firm, eventually you're going to get to the point where work-life balance isn't quite where you want it. You're going to feel probably like you're overwhelmed, you're wearing too many hats, you're working too many hours. It's kind of inevitable if you're growing that at some point you're going to need to figure out where to go from there. But I think that when it's a capacity issue like that, it's really important to realize that building a team isn't the only solution. It probably is the solution once you continue, when you continue to grow and grow and grow. However, there are other ways to solve capacity issues as an owner without hiring. So I kind of wanted to touch on that first. One way that you can do that is by selecting a niche or a niche, however you like to say that. And, really it can be a certain service that you offer, or it can be a certain set of clientele that you're offering those services to. But when you build a niche like that, it helps you to become super expert at working with those clients or in that specific service. And you're offering a lot more value. And so you can get a lot more revenue from doing, that specialized work. Also, it helps you to kind of develop processes that are repeatable when you're with a niche or a niche so that you can be more efficient with your work. So that's one way you can do it. Another way kind of speaks personally to my experience as a child. My dad had a successful accounting firm and he wanted to scale back. So he took his top 20% of clients, let everyone else go, closed his office building, let his team go, moved the office into the house. And he actually was making more revenue that way than he was with the big office and the team. So there are different ways of solving your capacity issues that are not just hiring. But like I said, eventually, if you are going to grow and scale, it's inevitable that you're going to need a team.
Absolutely. Next kind of thing that I think goes along with that is how does someone know who they should be hiring? It goes along, with their business. And something that can kind of go along with that too, I think, is outsourcing. And so if you could also talk a little bit about if that's a good idea for smaller firms and how they can accomplish that.
Sure, absolutely. So the tip that I learned that was so helpful for me about knowing who to hire, because again, as a business owner, you're wearing so many hats. So it may be
Right.
difficult to know what should we move on to somebody else.
Absolutely.
So what I was taught and was very helpful for me personally is you take a week and you just track your time. Everything you do, you write it down or put it in an app and you count how much time it's taking you to do those things just for 1 week. So it seems tedious, but
Right.
that data will empower you to see exactly how many hours you're spending on things that you could hand off to another person. So if it's admin work or maybe it's delivering your service that you do, whatever that is, you'll know not only what you can hand over, but also how much time that job is going to take. So do you need to hire part-time or full-time, right?
Right.
And also, I think that it can help you to look at, objectively what you're doing in your business that's not running your like not helping lead your business. So it will kind of clarify what it is that you need to do next that will take the most time off of your plate so that you can focus on running your business. So time tracking would be my number one recommendation. And then you asked about outsourcing, and I think that that's a great solution, especially if you haven't taken on a team yet. There's a lot of services that you can outsource to people who may be better at it than you naturally, right? So
Yeah.
virtual assistant stuff, admins, bookkeepers, accounting, that type of work are all ways you can outsource. One thing I think is really important, whether you decide to hire people as employees, outsource to a firm, or hire a contractor, you really want to make sure that they get where you're going with your business, they get your goals and your culture. And even if they're an outsourced firm, they need to fit in with the culture and the values of your company in order to really be successful. If they're not, then you're really going to find that they weren't a good fit for you. So I think that's very, very important.
Absolutely, that's great advice. And then now that we've kind of covered who we should be hiring, how to know when to hire, how do we actually do the hiring, and what are the steps that go along with that?
Yeah. So kind of speaking to what I just mentioned about making sure your values and your culture are a good
Mhm.
fit, you kind of have to take a little time to do that vision work. So think about why you started your business, maybe journal about it for just an hour or two. Why you started your business. What are the core values that are important to you? Is it important to you that you have exceptional service, or that you have on time service, or is honesty, integrity part of your core values? Once you outline those, it will help you to know who to pitch that to your new hires and see if it comes back at you with the response that you're looking for. So really doing a little bit of vision work about, your values and also where you're going over the next year, 5 years can help a lot. And then step two, I think, is to look at the actual role that you want to fill. Think about what kind of personality would fit that particular role. So if you're looking for something like maybe a bookkeeper, then detail oriented is part of the personality you're looking for. If you're looking for someone to help you with sales, then you need someone who has that personality to connect with people, right? So I would jot
Absolutely.
down a few non-negotiables and what you're looking for in that particular role. So you have your values, you have your personality traits. And once you do that, when you write your job description, you need to pitch it like a sales pitch. Like think about the person that you want to hire, and you're talking to that person and trying to hit points that are going to make them feel like, oh, I want that job, that he's talking to me. And
Right.
I found that by doing that, you're kind of filtering out the people that maybe aren't a good fit just by writing a
Mhm.
very detailed job description, including the values and where you see the company going and all of that.
Right.
And one other thing I think has been really helpful that will help you to kind of filter, because sometimes you can post a job posting and get hundreds of applicants, right?
Yeah.
Overwhelming. You don't know where to start.
Yeah.
And so, one thing that can really help is make it just a little bit difficult for them to apply for the job. Because if you're really
Interesting.
speaking to that person and they're like, this is me, this is the job I want, then
Right.
they're going to go through the hoops that are required for them to apply. So
Right.
it may be like a aptitude test. It
Mhm.
may be that you request them to send a video interview of themselves. You can also request them to send a sample of their work, for example, if they're like in marketing or something like that.
Right.
So just make it a little bit challenging for them to apply, because again, it's going to filter out those who are just kind of spamming their resume to all the different jobs and not really
Right.
into what you have to offer. So those are some ways that I think it really helps to go through that process.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think putting in that time and effort is such a huge part of being successful. And so
Right.
for this next little segment, I think it would be helpful for our subscribers to talk about systems. So when we talk about systems in a small firm, what exactly does that mean?
I mean, so systems are just like the way that you do things. I mean, it's
Right.
proprietary, right? Nobody's going to
Right.
do things just the way that you do them. And so a lot of times it could be, if you are part of a franchise, for example, they may offer you some systems that you can use that you're kind of set up with already.
Right.
But a lot of small business owners and professional service firms, especially when it's services, a lot of what they do is in their head, as an
Yeah.
owner. It's like, I know what I do, only I know my thought process.
Right.
And so it's actually putting that into some type of accessible format where other people can almost read your thoughts and understand how would you act in this situation. So it's so essential if you want to grow, if you want to scale, if you want to be more efficient, and if you ever even want to sell your business, then there's no way around it. You have to have systems in place to make it a marketable, scalable business.
Absolutely. And do you have any advice on how exactly people can kind of execute that and get those ideas out of their head and into the system?
Yeah, because I know, like, we're talking about, okay, an owner is so overwhelmed, they need to hire people, and now you're saying you have to do all this
Right.
work to even hire, right? So it
Right.
can be very overwhelming. I do have some suggestions because there are so many tools out there right now that can get those things
Yeah.
out of your head and into a format that's accessible. So first of all, whatever format you use, it should be accessible on the cloud. You don't want it locked on your hard drive or on your phone where no one else can get to it. You want to make sure that you're putting it somewhere where it's accessible to the team that you're going to hire easily.
Absolutely.
And the other thing is we use in our firm, we use the application called Loom a lot, which
Mhm.
is a way to record your video if you wish, and also your screen as you're working on your computer. So if what you do involves desk work, you can just do the task and record yourself and talk through what you're doing and
Yeah.
hand that off to a team member, and they can see, exactly what's involved with it. And then at that point, you can have your team members write a standard operating procedure, a checklist. You can
Mhm.
have them together like a decision tree. If it's something where it's like, oh, what would the owner do in this situation? They can actually document that and put that in a decision tree so it's accessible to everybody on the team. So that would be my first tip. Use Loom to record yourself. If you're on site doing some type of work, you can use your phone. Just get a tripod, put your phone up and say, this is
Yeah.
how I fix this and this is how I
Right.
fix that. So it won't take you more time, maybe a fraction of extra time because you're talking through it, but it's going to
Right.
get all that out of your head into a format that other people can use and get how you do things. So very
Absolutely.
invaluable process.
I agree. And I'm glad that you hit on that, that point of how these things can seem overwhelming or daunting. Because I think, especially for our subscribers, and just in general in small firms, I think it can be overwhelming. And, they're probably thinking, who has time for this? I'm already busy. But those are such great tips on how to, kind of combat that and, fulfill your goals. So I
I
think this has
agree.
been a wonderful conversation. And I think these tips are really going to go a long way for our subscribers. So I want to thank you again for joining me.
Okay, thank
And
you.
before we sign off, could you let our subscribers know where they could find you if they'd like to talk to you further or if they have any questions about what we covered today?
Sure, absolutely. So if you're looking for, accounting services coupled with advisory services to kind of help someone walk you through some of the pain points like hiring or processes, then we're the right firm for you. So you can find us at www.pinpointaccounting.com. And there's a form on there where if you're interested in becoming a client, you can fill that out. It'll give you an idea of what we do and kind of kick off the process of us meeting with you. So you're welcome to visit us there and hope we can help.
Perfect. And I'll put that information up on the screen so it should be easily accessible for all of our subscribers. Thank you again for joining us, and I look forward to talking again in the future.
Thank you, Emma. It's been great. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Have a good one.
You too.